And there we are. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, and I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. I'm here every Monday night with wonderful guests that have great stories to share. And tonight we have Sarah Sémajuste and Sarah of Same Page Investments. And you may also know Sarah from the Same Page podcast, which was created a couple of years ago. And it's to do with infertility issues. So that's another stream that that Sarah has. But welcome, Sarah. Thanks for being here tonight. And why don't you expand a little bit on that and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, where you're going, and where all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on your live. I'm very honored to be here today. So essentially, like you said, my name is Sarah Sémajuste. I live in Ottawa. I wear multiple hats. I think the biggest hat that I wear is mommy. I'm a mother of two young kids, 9 months old and 3 years old, so quite busy. But I'm also obviously a real estate investor, a land developer right here in Ottawa. And prior to my real estate journey, I was a speech language pathologist, and I still practice it a little bit less than before, just because other aspects of my life have sort of taken over. But yeah, that's essentially me in a nutshell. More my time is really split between being a mom, being a real estate investor, and a little bit of speech therapy as well nowadays.
That's yeah, that's pretty busy. So,
Absolutely.
so maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast, because you mentioned you have two young children, and your podcast was around infertility. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, my husband and I started this podcast called Same Page. Along the way, we kind of switched the name of it, but now it's now called Same Page. It started when we were having fertility issues. I was having we were having trouble conceiving, and we didn't know why. We sought so much help, and we felt so helpless. And we were the only ones in our family where we were be asked the questions, when are you going to have kids? And we didn't have kids, and we were newlyweds, and we kind of got sick and tired of that question, to tell you the truth. And we wanted to shed light on the fact that it doesn't just happen like that, for some. And for us, at least, it didn't. And it was 5 years of trying different things, IVF. And along the way, my husband and I felt that we should be just vulnerable in public to really talk about these issues, and mostly talk about the fact that not everyone can respond to the question, when are you going to have kids? Right. So, and you don't know what people are going through. So it was really to shed light on some of the issues that some people might be going through that might not really be talked about and really taboo. So we made Same Page sort of like an open space to discuss these topics. And eventually, honestly, Same Page started as talking about our infertility journey, but then it blossomed to marriage talks, and we would talk about our difficulties as a couple, as a couples doing business together, and eventually as a couple, investing in real estate, and really giving back tips that we've learned, scale our portfolio. So in it really progressed along the way to different topics. But I think the gist of it sort of remains that, we're always trying to be on the same page, whether it's, about our fertility issues, about our couple issues and troubles and obstacles and all that. And also as partners in real estate, and helping others navigate through all of that if any of those topics resonate with somebody else.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't realize that it had evolved into a whole different
Yeah.
well, it's yeah, being a couple and being on the same page, whatever issues you're dealing with, and we all have issues, right? So, Oh, that's amazing.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly. And
So,
honestly,
maybe tell us a little bit about your real estate journey and how it got started and all kinds of things. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So I always say that I accidentally fell into real estate investing and I actually accidentally became a real estate investor. Um, just a little brief story how I started. I had bought a condo in 2014. It was, a new build, new construction. I was just looking for my first place out of a university. My parents sort of gave me a small gift for graduating, and I was going to put it to good use and add on top of it and buy myself a condo. And at the time, I have to say, it was much easier, 5% down, like with like $10,000 you could buy yourself something. So I went ahead and picked something on paper, found a realtor, and I bought it. But the closing wasn't until, like a year down the line. And as time approached, I was crunching numbers. This is going to be my mortgage. This is going to be my taxes. This is going to be condo fees, etc., utilities, etc. And then I realized I couldn't really afford it. And
Uh-oh. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? It's like I can afford the down payment, but can I really afford these monthly payments? And I technically I could, but it would have been too much to pay out of my monthly paychecks. And I still had two student loans at the time. So I decided, okay, well, maybe now is not the right time to move into this place. I decided to rent it out to a tenant. And I ended up renting a basement apartment for like $650 back in the day. Just so that I wouldn't have to pay, like, I don't know. At the time, I think the total came up to like 1,300 or 1,400 or something, but it was still a huge chunk for me who was still, paying my student loans. And that's how I became a landlord. I just kind of told the realtor, hey, I can't move into this place. And he was kind of like, well, you took advantage of the 5% down as a first time home buyer. You have to move in. Then I spoke to a lawyer about it. And he's like, honestly, Sarah, like if you have a story that makes sense as to why you're not going to move in, I think it'll be fine. So I didn't end up moving in. I ended up renting it. And that was my first experience as a landlord. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, and it's just, because it was a new construction, it wasn't very hard at all. It was just, once in a while you get this phone call about maybe the dishwasher not working, but that was it. And 4 years later, my husband and I met and we decided, okay, let's buy, something together. And then it kind of like snowballed from there. It's just one thing after another, refi, and then we bought another one and bought another one and bought another one. And that's essentially how I started, and and it helped me kind of scale to where I am because I eventually ended up selling that condo. Um, First, I refinanced it, pulled out, bought something with it, and then when I sold it, I bought something else with the proceeds. So the power of just one single condo can really lead to exponential growth. You just don't that you don't even you're not even aware of, right? um to put numbers like that, $10,000 essentially led to $100,000 about 6 years later.
That's crazy. Yeah, now, how did you even know to do that? Other than, you were making your budget, like now we say running numbers. You weren't running numbers then because you didn't really know how to you were kind of setting yourself up for a budget, but what gave you
Yeah,
the idea even to rent it out that it would cover the cost?
well, my brother had a condo in Toronto and my cousin had a condo in Hamilton. I kind of tapped into their knowledge. I knew my cousin was renting a place, so I knew that was a thing. So I just thought, okay, well, if I can't live in it, I'm gonna rent it. And that was really the idea. Um, and to tell you the truth, I didn't even cash flow. I think I was, for the price I was renting it, I was paying $150 into it monthly. And at the time, my family was like, Sarah, you're losing out. You shouldn't rent it out because look, you're losing per month. And I couldn't understand why that was a problem. And I was like, but they're paying like 90% of my expenses. It's okay if I put in $150 a month. Um, I guess I didn't have the mentality of scaling, because obviously if you're trying to scale, then that's not cash flow and you're negative and you can't do that. But for me, it made sense because I'm like, well, I was thinking long term. I'm like, if in 25 years somebody paid 90% of your mortgage and you only paid 10%, I think that's a good deal. So I think my lack of knowledge made me do this deal, because otherwise maybe I would have been too scared and said, hey, it doesn't cash flow, I shouldn't do this, and then back out. Um, but I was just too naive to listen to anyone. So I just went ahead and did what I thought was right at the time.
Well, it didn't cash flow, but ultimately it was a great investment, right?
A
Um,
100%.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think you took a situation and pivoted, before you even knew how to do that, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And even nowadays, I think I get a lot of questions, from maybe new investors who want to start out with a condo, and they asking me, should I start out with a condo? And I'm like, yes and no. It may not cash flow, but if that's all you can afford, it's best that you buy this than nothing, right? If you
Right,
don't know how to
right.
raise capital, if you don't have money to invest in yourself, or don't want to at the time, maybe just buy the condo. Maybe, later on it'll appreciate and you'll make some money off of it. So I try not to bombard everyone with all the things that I've learned, because sometimes it is okay to start where you are and not, go for that big multifamily at first, because you do want also the experience of just being a landlord and figuring out what it means to deal with tenants. So I say, hey, if that's all you can afford and that's all you want to do right now, hey, go for it. You may
Get
end up
in get in
making,
the market, right?
get
And
in the market.
yeah, and it is 6 years and you were able to buy two other properties from that.
100%. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
what does your family think about now that you were putting $150 a month into it? Right?
You're investing with me, so they don't
And
mind.
they're right. Yeah, they don't think it's such a bad idea now, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a great start. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even believe that you would think at a young age to do something like that with no training. That's
Yeah,
that's
I just
brilliant.
dove head first, and honestly, I had heard of people doing Airbnb, so I thought worst comes to worst, I'll put it on Airbnb. And that is something that I actually tried along the way, not with that property, but um I tried arbitrage with another property before, after that, in the meantime. And I just had the idea that I'm sure I'll figure it out, right? I'm sure other people are doing it. So I think that mentality just made me just want to go for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, you were just doing it before you actually got any education or coaching or anything, right? And I mean, that's how you learn. But then once you do start into the coaching, mentoring, and education, that's when you can really scale, right? So, so tell us a little bit about how life progressed from that time and how what's happened along the way to where you are today.
Yeah. So when we bought, like I said, I purchased the condo in 2014, and 4 years later, my husband and I purchased a small multifamily. And at some point, I think it was 2019, 2020, I was starting to feel like I wanted to do more. I saw that people had like 4, 5, 6 properties, and I was like, they can't just be saving their money. That it's really expensive, right? And but I didn't really think too much of it. I just knew that I wanted more. And when COVID happened, actually, prior to COVID, I had decided that I wanted to do something different in my life. In 2018, my dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I had taken some time off to really just be with my family as much as I could, going back and forth to Toronto, back to Ottawa. And I was working privately as a speech language pathologist to really, pay some of my bills. And my husband and I kind of looked at our budget together and said, hey, you know what? Take some time off, take 3 months off, unpaid. We'll figure it out, live on one salary. And we did. And that time off, that 3 months off, really made me see that I didn't need my 9 to 5.
Mhm.
I was like, wait a minute. If I could do this for 3 months and still pay my mortgage, my utilities, and whatnot, mind you, things were tighter, but I'm lucky that I have a profession that um, I can work privately quite easily. And at some point, I don't know what kind of sparked that light bulb, but I started realizing that if I kept working my 9 to 5, I wouldn't I wouldn't really go further. And this is not to downplay anybody working 9 to 5, because like it's great. You can provide stability for your family, you can pay for your mortgage, you can go on vacation, you have your pension. Like there's a lot of good things out of that. But
Mhm.
I knew that for myself, in order to have more time with my dad who was sick, with my mom who needed lots of support, and just my family in general, I just started seeing time differently. I knew that I couldn't stay in my 9 to 5. And at some point, my husband was like, he was so supportive, and he's like, Sarah, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So I ended up quitting in 2020, and COVID hit literally the week that I quit. And I was out of like no income at all. I was supposed to work privately. There was none of that. But the blessing in disguise is that I had a lot of time to learn. So I started following people doing real estate. I started getting coaching from, one mentorship program, then another. And that was really the catalyst that helped us grow, is just because I had so much downtime, and that's literally all we did. We were on Zoom calls learning, and then when we weren't on Zoom calls, we were looking for deals and then looking for capital. And in the last, I don't know, 4 years, um that just like really helped us grow our portfolio, just from really having that downtime in 2020, to learn and to, put into action what we learned. And it led to where we are today.
That's amazing. Really amazing. I think COVID for a lot of people was a real eye opener, and it really helped them to pivot, right? To learn to do different things. I had never been on a Zoom meeting before COVID, and now I'm on about, probably average 4 or 5, 6 a day, and
A
yeah.
100%. Same. I remember I was actually, I don't know, I think there was a term for it. I was actually like screened out or something. I don't remember what it's called, but I would do like two Zoom calls and I would need a nap because it was so draining to be on a screen.
Yeah,
Now obviously everything is on Zoom,
yeah.
but I do remember that fatigue of being on a screen constantly. It was like draining. I guess now my body's just used to it.
Well, and I think we were so used to in-person interactions, right? And everything going online. Although I much prefer a Zoom call over a phone call, because I like to see people when I'm talking to them. So yeah, I guess I would have loved to have owned stocks in Zoom before COVID, right? But yeah, it certainly has changed things, and online learning, it's just amazing what I mean, a lot of good came out of it.
Yes, and now, to tell the truth, like, um it saves us a lot of time. And you're not driving around, and you can do, a virtual coffee, and it allows you to meet people that are, hours away, that otherwise you would maybe never get a chance to get to know. So I think it's definitely a great tool. But let's you do have to remember that in person does add value, to really, see the person, be able to really have that face to face, like real face to face contact. But Zoom definitely has its place.
Absolutely. I agree. Like I love in-person events. They're absolutely, like, there's nothing beats it, but Zoom does allow you to communicate well with people that are at a distance that just likely wouldn't happen
Yeah,
if it wasn't possible. That's awesome.
exactly.
Okay, so now you have two little ones that you're keeping busy with. So obviously the infertility issues got worked out. Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was a journey in itself, but we're so blessed to finally have our two little kids, and they're just, as much as they're tiring, they're such a blessing, right? So we definitely don't take it for granted.
Absolutely. And how wonderful that you have the time freedom to be able to spend with them. That's absolutely wonderful. And
Yeah,
that's real estate investing has enabled that, right? Which that's
absolutely.
absolutely
Absolutely.
wonderful. So now tell me, we were talking a little bit about your hotel development that you've got going on in Orleans. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so me and my and some partners, we bought a land in close to Trim. If you're familiar with the area, it's in the east end of Ottawa, close to an LRT station that's actually being built currently. Close by, there's I think maybe two, maybe they're not skyscrapers, but two really tall buildings that have been built already. So it's really well situated, and it's about 700-meter away from the future LLT station. It is in a light industrial zoning. So what we did is that we applied for a zoning amendment. The land is about 27,000 square feet, and we applied for a zoning amendment so that we could allow to build a hotel. So it recently got approved after about 2.5 years of back and forth with the city. It recently got approved for a 61 unit hotel with it's a 6-story building with underground parking, and yeah, with two levels of underground parking, and there's also 2 floors of commercial space, and that will be the tenants will be determined by the interest in that area.
Right?
So we're thrilled to have those approvals because it's definitely um it's a huge project, it's a huge building. um I don't remember the specs off the top of my head, but we're really happy that something like this was approved by the city, because in the area there's going to be lots of growth, there's going to be lots of new businesses. So it's cool to be able to bring the hotel nearby, and especially close to the LRT station, which I think the city really aims to have these type of development close to an LRT station to promote people walking and cycling and reduce car use. So the location's great. The land itself is of good size, and we were able to really maximize its use with the underground parking, getting the parking underground, but really, and going as high as we can in that area with the 6-story. So we're just super happy about it, and now we're kind of looking at what the next step is for that project, whether it's to partner with other people that will actually, you know, um, build it, because their background is more in the development rather than the construction part, or just sell it to somebody who wants to build it. We could either retain a portion and partner up with other people, or we could sell it outright to somebody who wants to kind of bring it to life.
Wow, that's amazing. And that all started with a condo that you bought in 2014, right?
Exactly, a hundred
Yeah.
percent. It's wild to think about.
So in 10 years, yeah, you've gone from a condo that you couldn't afford to live in to yeah, 61 unit hotel with 2 floors of commercial. That is
Yeah, if you would have told me that would have been my path 10 years later, I would have literally thought you were crazy. I would say, like, why would you think that of me? Like, what makes you think I'm gonna do this? But I think when you're really intentional about your future, and you really dive into what you want, just certain things happen in a way that you would never have. You can't even you can't even plan it that way, right? It just
right.
happens when you're really intentional about your next steps and your vision. and then things unfold to bring it there. But you really have to be intentional about your vision.
Every day, you have
100%.
to, the actions that you're taking, the things that you're doing every day, the people that you're talking to, all have to align with what your vision is, right? And
Exactly, 100%. And
yeah,
I'm big on writing a vision, meditating on it, really like seeing it written, seeing it in pictures, kind of like a vision board as well. Because those things are really stick to your mind, right? And it really allows like the universe to kind of come together to like hand it to you, as long as you're willing to work, obviously. But you really have to be intentional about your thoughts and how you move forward in order for your vision to come to life.
absolutely. Yeah, what you put out to the universe, it's going to deliver, right? So if if you're picturing and you're constantly seeing on a vision board, or just your self-talk of, if it's, oh, I can't do that, that's what the universe is going to give you, right? If you're
Exactly.
telling the universe, I'm going to own a 61 unit a hotel, then that's what's going to happen. Yeah, it
And
delivers.
you know what's interesting? Sometimes I think that you don't even know what to ask for, right? You don't even know what to tell the universe. Like I would have never been able to tell universe, I want a hotel, right? I
Right,
want to sit,
right.
you know.
Yes,
Sometimes it's just I want financial freedom, and like
yes.
somehow
Time
it comes
freedom.
together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah.
so sometimes you got to ask for that really impossible thing that it seems impossible, and you're like, I'm just going to let the universe do its thing and bring it to me, but I'm willing to work at the things that I know I can, not without hanging on to how am I going to get there. Just
Specifics.
be really willing,
Correct,
right?
correct.
And then, okay,
And yeah, just put it out there, and I know you're gonna figure this out, right? Just lead me in the path. I totally agree. Listen, I talk to the universe all the time. I'm outside,
that's
but
exactly it.
especially in challenging situations, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I know you're gonna do. Yeah, right? Yeah,
You
absolutely.
hear me up there, universe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trusting you to take care of this. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So you're obviously your kids aren't in school yet. They're little, so um that that's a full-time job plus right there.
100%. My son actually started pre-K, so it's like pre-kindergarten, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like half days, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So it
It's almost
I
more of
would
a
love
pain to
to.
get them there and pick them up. Right? Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, I'm not sure. I thought in between, maybe I get time to send one email, and then I
Yeah.
meet my daughter, and then I have to go back. So, I mean, he's loving it, so I'm happy for him. But at the
Yes.
same time, it's like a full-time job, just bring him there and back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with your daughter too, packing her up. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
I just want to hang around the school. I'm like, there's no point
Yeah,
for
for
me
two and a
even.
half hours, right? Just bring your laptop, let your daughter have a nap somewhere. Yeah.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
it.
Yes. And as working moms, we figure it out, right?
Oh my yes,
And
absolutely. You have
yeah,
no
we
choice.
always have our kids' best interests at heart, and it would be easy just to keep them home and, for the 2.5 hours. But yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So next year, will he go full time or not?
You know what? I'm still debating. Even prior to him going to pre-K, we do a lot of things like, you know, um, academically together. But through
Yeah,
play, I have to say, like, he's already reading. And I mean reading, like reading sentences. He can pick up a book, a simple book, obviously. He's 3. But my husband and I, we're still figuring out what kind of education we want to provide him. I do think that there's still place for some kind of like institutional education, we just don't know exactly where yet and what that's going to look like. But I do think that homeschooling or home tutoring, however that's can be called, has its place too. So we're kind of seeing what's best and what fits their lifestyle and what we want to do because in JK and SK, they still play a lot, right?
Oh my
So
goodness,
I'm not
yes.
really worried, yeah,
Yes.
about sending him, but it'll be like a game time decision, at the time and see what we want to do and keep him for another year at home or send him because he just wants to socialize. We'll see. It's still up in the
And
air.
yeah, and what's best for him too, right? Like each child is different, and what works well for him may not work for your daughter because they're right. You'll Yeah, mine are big now, but that's the thing is you think you got it figured out on the first one, then the second one comes along and they're totally different, right? So
Yes. That's
yeah.
exactly it. Yeah, like he enjoys the socialization. So that's why I'm like, okay, you could go because you love playing. And he says, I'm going to school and I'm gonna play with my friends. And so I'm like, sure. And if he still wants to do that and he's kind of gone ho about going next year, maybe we'll just, let it happen. But who knows? My daughter might be an introvert and she might be total opposite. You never
It's quite possible. Yeah, absolutely. And that's it, is you have to cater to their individual needs. And being a parent is probably the hardest job in the world, right? Because it's such important decisions that you have to make. And
Yes.
yeah, but all you can do is do your best.
Exactly. I think as mothers we tend to be hard on ourselves, always questioning everything. Is he eating the right foods? Is he getting enough sleep? Is he pooping on time, like as much as he should be? Is he?
Yeah,
But in a grand scheme of things, like they're doing fine and they'll develop and every mother I think they're really trying their best with what they have. So and most of the time the child ends up being fine. And I'm
absolutely.
actually trying to it's actually me telling me myself that I'm trying to remember that myself because I
That's right. That's
sometimes
right.
forget.
Yeah. If he missed eating a vegetable at that meal, is it really going to matter in 5 years? Right. If he misses eating vegetables at every meal, then that's a problem. But yeah, sometimes we get micro focused on,
100%, a hundred
yeah,
percent.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Well, I can tell you that mine are grown and they've done well and they're successful
Okay.
young ladies. And um, although I did make sure that they ate fruit or vegetable before any other food, that was on the table first, and nothing went on the table until they ate it. So that
Oh
was
man,
my
I might be in
strategy on
trouble.
that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
not to say they didn't get any junk food here or there, but all you can do is do your
You pick
best.
your battles.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a wonderful story, Sarah. 10 years. Wow, what a journey it's been, and amazing what you've done coming from
Thank you.
that little condo that you couldn't afford. That's amazing.
Exactly,
And
exactly. And I just want to mention that it hasn't always been rosy, right? There's ups and downs, and from the condo to the second one, there were ups and downs, and the second to the third, et cetera, et cetera. But you just believe in your vision, and you talk to as many people as you can to try to find that solution to that one problem. And most of the times you end up figuring it out. So to anybody who's like listening to this and thinking, oh man, I'm not even at my little condo yet, or I just bought my little condo, how is that possible? Just trust the process, talk to a lot of people, get mentorship. Like truly, I think that's really underrated. Sometimes we
oh my
think, oh,
goodness,
it costs
I
a lot, but
yeah.
it costs you way more not to get mentorship. So invest in yourself, and you'll see 5 to 10 years down the line, you won't even recognize yourself.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because even the cost of joining a group or having a coach, they could save you 10 times that amount in one little mistake that you could make. So, yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. Coaching
Yeah.
and mentorship is very valuable, and surrounding yourself with a community of like-minded people too, and just that's again loving meetups, right, and in-person events, and just talking to people and just listening to their stories and learning from them and sharing yours. Somehow we all help each other with experiences, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
never smooth sailing. That's just life, right?
Mm.
But
And whatever you choose, whether you choose, um, the, I guess, more conventional path or the entrepreneurship path, there's going to be heartaches here and there. There's going to be obstacles. So you just have to, you just choose one, and things are going to come up. So I rather, I personally chose the one that aligned with, giving back my time. And obviously it comes with different obstacles, but I think, like, with the community that we've built around us, like, we're well equipped to handle those obstacles.
yeah, that's very true. And everybody's journey is completely different, right? And what aligns for their family, themselves, their time available, their finances available, like everybody is individual with their goals and resources, and so it's just, yeah, don't compare yourself maybe to anybody else, right? And
Mhm.
it's time in the market, not timing the market, right? It's not
Yes,
a get rich quick, um but strategically planning where you're going and leveraging what you have to get there.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yes. Well, thanks so much. It was great having you on tonight. I usually ask, and I'm popping this on you at the last minute. Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. But is there any books that you would recommend to people to read, or um, daily
Yeah.
practices that you do?
Well, to tell the truth, I've fallen off my daily practices. So don't do as I say, not as I do. But definitely, honestly, meditation has been like a godsend for me. Just um, really visualizing what you want and taking that time um, to really picture yourself as having it. I used to do that a lot more when I didn't have my kids, and I was telling my husband, like, literally everything I meditated for and I thought of have come true 100%. And if somebody wants to reach out and actually talk to me about it, like, I'll tell you all the details. But that's something that I miss in my daily routine. But other than that, reading, I think some game changers for me have been The Slight Edge. I'm not gonna tell you the author because I don't remember.
That's okay. It's
Um,
called The Slight Edge. I'll put that in the chat.
the Edge and Atomic Habits.
Okay,
Those two
that's a great one.
books,
Yeah.
when I really started getting serious about investing and really understanding that it's not just like that one deal that's going to make you super rich, but it's your daily actions. Then we just went to work. We just did the small steps that helped us scale. So those books are really like a mindset changer, because information is not the issue, is really your mindset, that has to be ready to take actions and believe that it can happen for you. So I think mindset books are actually more important than, books about real estate investing. I don't ever really recall reading a book about real estate. Everything, all my knowledge comes from mentorship and talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. But I think they say is it 90 or 95% of your success is mindset, right? Yeah.
100%, I believe.
A-
Yeah,
And daily habits, which Atomic Habits, that's a phenomenal book.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
little baby steps, right? But
Mhm.
consistent. That's the thing. Yeah. Well, maybe you can get your
Absolutely.
son into I know some people do, and I wish I knew this about this when my children were young, but creating a vision board,
That's a good idea, actually.
right?
That's a really good idea. I think I will. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna implement it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it was that shared that with me, that they do that with their children. They have them create one and then they do one as a family. So maybe
Oh,
it's
okay.
a family trip or an experience, whatever it is that they goals as a family, and then individual goals too. But three, I mean, if he's going to school, I mean, he could, at his level, I'm sure he could probably, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he could tell you already what he wants to be. Like sometimes he surprises me and it's all things he sees in books, but he's always talking about being wanting to be an astronaut. And I'm like, well, you got to
perfect.
be a scientist first. And so he's just like, okay, what do I want to do to be a scientist? I'm like,
But you
we'll
know
get
what?
there.
What a great thing to start him at 3 years old with a vision board. And I mean, the universe will bring it to him. I want to see
A
it
hundred
in
percent.
right? In 25 years, I want to see he's going to be an astronaut.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you know what? Why not? That was a great idea, and we're definitely gonna take that and implement it.
Well, and it'll probably bring you back to it too, right? So that as you're
Yeah,
helping him, you're showing him what you're doing. So there you go.
100%. Yeah,
That's an
mine is actually like
experienced
right in
mom.
my exactly. Mine's
Yeah.
actually right in my field of vision right now. I could see it, but definitely could use some updating.
Yeah. Well, bring your son into it. I challenge you.
Will do. Will do. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much again, Sarah. It was great talking to you tonight, and thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, for any college kids just graduating, there you go. You know,
Thank you. Well, thank you so
yeah.
much for having me, giving me this platform to share my story. And I'm available if anybody wants to like have a chat at any point. And yeah, thanks again.
What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Sarah Sémajuste. So Sarah Sarah, Sémajuste Semajuste. That's on Instagram and Facebook. So just look me up and yeah, let's have a chat.
Okay, okay. And if anybody's interested in knowing more about your hotel project as well,
Oh yeah, they can reach out and I'll blabber their ears away.
yeah. That sounds very exciting. Very exciting.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
well,
thanks so much.
thanks again. Thank you
Okay.
again for joining tonight. Any last minute, anything that you wanted to add in or
I always say like leap and build your wings on the way down. A lot of people they're scared of leaping. You got to take that leap first because if you're still up there on that mountain looking down, you're never really gonna take any steps. And trust me, you get to build your wings quite quickly when you leap. So don't be scared to leap.
absolutely. I love that. I one of my favorite posts always is the little girl with the wings on her back and she's saying to her mom, "Well, what if I fall?" And her mom says, "But what if you fly?"
100%. That's
I
exactly
love that.
same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm, awesome.
Great. Thanks again, Sarah. Anybody who
Pleasure.
wants to know about the hotel or maybe you guys can have a Zoom meeting about making vision boards with your 3-year-old. You can start a group, right? Maybe that could be a podcast that that you could do in your on your same page podcast about
That's
yeah,
right.
sharing vision boards with your children. Or the idea
Sounds
of
good.
them, right? Okay. Okay. Well, I think we're
Okay.
gonna wrap it up for tonight. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you, Sarah. It's been great chatting with you. Again, I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves. And if you're interested in being a guest on Motivational Mondays Live, just send me a DM. I'm always looking for wonderful guests like Sarah. So have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.